Good afternoon, everybody. I want to thank you for joining us for today's August Missouri Community Betterment Lunch and Learn. My name is Tanya Watson. I am one of the MCB board members, and we're excited to have you guys here with us today. I did want to share a little bit of information with you about what MCB is. We are the longest standing statewide community betterment organization in the nation. We were established in 1963, and we have been providing assistance to communities around the state since, through networking, research, and connections to resources and outreach. Missouri Community Betterment is designed to help Missouri communities enhance their quality of life through community development, planning, and implementation. MCB leads technical assistance, recognizing and awarding communities that excel in the program. The Missouri Community Betterment Foundation Educational Fund is a private not-for-profit corporation. It fulfills its purpose by providing strategic direction, determines the judging and confidence process, and obtains program funding. We're glad to have you all with us today. We are excited to be doing these lunch and learns, and I will go ahead and get started and introduce our presenters today. First off, we have Elizabeth Anderson. She is County Engagement Specialist in Community Economic Development, serving Osage, Gasconade, Callaway, and Cole counties at the University of Missouri Extension in Osage County. And then we have Sarah Massengale, County Engagement Specialist in Community Economic Development at the University of Missouri Extension in Dent County. And they are going to be talking with us today about Neighborhood Leadership Academy and a few other programs through the MU Extension. Go ahead, ladies. I'll let you have the floor.
Great, thank you. If you guys don't mind, I'll pull up my slides here. Okay. All right, so I'm going to start by talking a little bit about Extension. If you've ever heard anything about MU Extension, I'm sure you've generally heard the spiel about how we're based out of a land grant institution. Also, just to say again that this is kind of what Tanya was saying about our Sarah and our position right now. I know Sarah's based in Dent County. I know she serves a lot of other counties, but that's where we're serving right now. So right now, MU Extension is actually kind of in a little bit of a transition period, and the 4 words that our big boss on campus, Marshall Stewart, recently shared with us that he sees as kind of defining the vision of Extension, and our purpose is to serve Missouri, as in serve Missourians, and deliver Mizzou. And we do that through content that's based out of 4 main educational areas, educational homes. And those 4 areas are the agriculture and environment, youth and family, health and safety, and business and communities. Okay, there we go. So Sarah and I are based in the business and communities under that umbrella. And in our subsection of community development, the majority of our named programming, which means programs that are scheduled every so often, that aren't just walk-in assistance that we can give to people or ad hoc facilitation that we can offer, or counseling of any sort, fall into these 4 areas. We try and do education that fits under the umbrellas of belonging, civic contribution, collective leadership, and vitality. We feel like those are the 4 main content areas that really speak to what community development is all about. And under collective leadership, some of the programming that we offer are Neighborhood Leadership Academy, Neighborhood Leadership Fellows, Youth Empowerment Program, Build Your Board Training, and Public Boards Training. So Neighborhood Leadership Academy, which is the first one on that list, is a program that we offer. It originated in the St. Louis metro area, but it's now something that we offer statewide. I think this is the 3rd year that it's been offered statewide in a hybrid format where we're able to have smaller regional cohorts facilitated by community development field faculty across the state. NLA has a history of over 20 years of successful cohorts and has reached over 400 neighborhood and organization leaders. Last year, for the 2011 cohort, we had a kind of a record-breaking year. We had over 80 participants all across the state, and it was the first year where we were able to offer a mini grant application process to the folks who were in the cohort. And I'll talk a little bit more about what those mini grants are all about. So the 2022 format for this year, we're following the same curriculum that we always do. It's a 10-week course. It will run from September 12th to November 15th. There is a hybrid or statewide option that will be on Monday nights. And then we're actually going to go back to a full in-person St. Louis only cohort as well. That'll be on Tuesday nights. And both of those are from 6 to 9 p.m. And the outcomes that are expected from the 2022 cohort are a final project, a chancellor's certificate, and the mini grant application. So for that final project, as participants in NLA go through this 10-week process, they have a mind to developing a project that they could see through in their own communities. They plan for it the entire time, and then at the end, they do a pitch presentation to the other folks in their cohort about what their project is going to be about and how it's going to positively impact their community. Additionally, by completing the 10-week course, participants are eligible to receive a chancellor's certificate from the University of Missouri St. Louis. And then they'll have the chance this year again to do a mini grant application. And the way that worked last year when we piloted that was that as these people are putting together their community-wide project, they then have the opportunity to apply for a grant to help get that project off the ground, up to a total of $2,500 they're able to apply for. And it's reviewed by a group of people, just like a regular grant, and they have to show what the budget is going to be and where else they may be applying for funding to kind of dip their toe into that kind of resource development practice. So what does NLA cover? This here, these are some of the different subjects that we cover each week in NLA. We go over community building principles, the real theory and research behind what community development is all about, and the best practices and principles that are put out by some of our national organizations. They learn about leadership practices and their own personal leadership strengths individually. Understanding local government, we do have 1 week where we have local government guest speakers come and they learn about how to engage with those people in their communities. The process of project planning, resource development, like I mentioned before, applying for a grant or other sort of sponsorships, how to go about getting assistance for their programs and communicating the worth of their programs to stakeholders. Then we also do a session on building inclusive communities, getting the word out and advertising. And they also, in addition to receiving a workbook that guides them through the weekly process, they also get a bound community toolkit that have some, again, best practices on things like action planning and stakeholder analysis and things like that, that they'll be able to use in their future community development work. Okay, so here's a little video that I'm going to play. This is outlining a previous graduate of NLA and the project that she was able to carry out. And if you can kind of give me like a thumbs up or a thumbs down if the volume needs to be adjusted at all.
I've lived here for 19 years. I moved to this neighborhood for the potential of it all. Of course, when I moved here, I didn't know anybody, but I can honestly say this is one of the best neighborhoods, I believe, in this city. Our neighbors are fantastic. Everybody gets along. And we all care about one thing, and that is improving our community. Everybody cares about safety. Everybody wants this neighborhood to be clean. Everybody wants this neighborhood to be vibrant. We want good neighbors. And so it gives us an opportunity to get to know one another. So I was a part of the Neighborhood Leadership Academy with UMSL. And as a part of our graduation, we had to do some type of community project, something that meant something to us. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And we were doing a community movie night, something fun, right at the old Cook School on Hamilton. And cars were just whizzing by, running through stop signs. And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. We need a traffic calming initiative on this street because somebody's going to get run over. And so I started doing all my research, pulling partners together, pulling the other person together, and we came up with a plan.
We are working on a Bloomberg-funded asphalt art project. We partnered with residents of the West End neighborhood where we are, and St. Louis Artworks, which is a youth arts apprenticeship organization. And I should also say a class from Washington University San Fox School. And we've had a very fun partnership. It's engaged residents on Hamilton, other residents of the West End neighborhood, and a dozen student apprentices at Artworks. And so once we got the information to the apprentices, we said, okay, you come up with some designs that you think will look good on the street in the neighborhood, and we'll critique it and we'll discuss them. And then after that, Artworks took those designs to the neighborhood, people in the neighborhood, so they can kind of vote on the ones they like the best. We work with apprentices age 14 to 19, that their art is public art in a major metropolitan city. And that is a rarity. As you can see, the community members are walking by, driving by, taking a look at the work that our apprentices are creating. They're inspired by it. In addition to being a way to try to minimize and reduce traffic, it's also a way to beautify the neighborhood and beautify the communities. The Neighborhood Leadership Academy taught me how to put together a plan, how to recruit the right people. We had to make sure we had residents involved. We had to have elected officials. We had to have the city of St. Louis. We talked to the street department. And so bringing all of those people together builds momentum for achieving one goal and doing something great. And that's what the NLA class taught me. This is by far the largest artwork installation on the street in St. Louis. There's been some other smaller ones. It's been fun to work on that kind of collaborative project where everybody has the same goal in mind. But I think that there's sort of dedication not only to the neighborhood, but to the street, sort of making sure that there's strong anchors along Hamilton Avenue, that things are very visible and can demonstrate that how artwork and how public activism can continue and show that there's effort and resources coming into the West End.
An opportunity to participate in NLA is really just an opportunity to learn how to build community in your neighborhood. Because if you made a choice to live where you live and you want your neighborhood to improve, you got to be the change.
Okay, so that's one example of the kind of community project that can come out of Neighborhood Leadership Academy. There's been a wide variety of other ones. Some are starting a community garden. Some are putting together some of those little free libraries. I know that in the Mid-Missouri cohort, which I helped lead last year, we had an individual who worked for a library system. And often, if you've gone into a library system, you, especially nowadays, you may see that there are checkouts where you can get kits of books and toys and music CDs and things like that for children to play with. But this person in our group put together a proposal for resources that could be checked out for caregivers to work with people in their lives who have Alzheimer's or neurodegenerative disease, to help them think about memories and kind of retain some of those family stories and things like that. We also had a person in our group whose project is still ongoing because it's a very large project, but they were able to secure funding to open their end-of-life care home in mid-Missouri. It'll open at the beginning of next year, where folks can come and receive hospice care, but not have to be in a hospital setting or be at home where maybe their family members are not equipped with dealing with that stage of life. We've had just a really wide and interesting and vibrant variety of community projects that come out of NLA, and we're really proud of our neighborhood leaders that come out of the program and the work that they're doing across the state to make their communities more vibrant and livable for people. So we can go to the next slide. Oops. Okay. So upcoming deadlines for NLA. There's the early bird registration period is coming to a close soon. That will end August 22nd. And then the final registration deadline is September 2nd. There is a cost associated. We did have a period of scholarships being offered. We had some set aside for Missouri Community Betterment member communities. I know we have at least one person who I believe is able to take advantage of that. I'm trying to hear if some of that money is still set aside. I do not have a firm answer on that yet, but if it's possible, the deadline for scholarships was August 5th, but if that money is still kind of floating out there, we could potentially see if we could make that happen. Other than that, the early bird cost is $290. The regular cost is $325, I believe. If that is also still something that you feel is a cost burden for someone in your community, but you think that they would be a good applicant, we would be happy to work with you to try and see if there's a way that a sponsorship could be secured from, say, a local chamber of commerce or a local neighborhood association or a bank or a business. There's different ways that we can kind of try and make that happen, because we want to see people impacting their communities across the state. If that's not something that you are worried about, if you don't feel the need to pursue a sponsorship, this web address at the bottom is the registration link for the program, and I can pop that in the chat later as well. So some other upcoming programs, and then I can take questions about NLA at the end. There is the Creating Entrepreneurial Communities Conference. That's coming up soon. It's November 21st and 22nd in Herman. It's a innovative kind of conference. This is the second annual year that it's been done. Last year it was in Hannibal. And the kind of new and innovative thing about it is that the breakout sessions aren't held in a conference center or all in one place like a lot of other conferences. They're actually held throughout the town of Herman in the local businesses. So it gives people a chance to go from business to business, to maybe spend a little of their money on some of the cute boutiques and things that they have down there. And Herman is just a really interesting place. They have a really vibrant tourism and wine industry there, but they've also grown a lot over the last few years. A lot of the subjects that will be covered during the breakouts are workforce development, youth development, business development, inclusivity, placemaking, and food entrepreneurship. Again, this is the registration link at the bottom. It's $125 for an adult. We also have a youth option. So if there's any group that would like to bring a couple youth members with them, since we do have several people that are involved in youth development who are going to speak, like Steve Hennes, who previously used to work with University of Missouri Extension. Since they'll be speaking there, we obviously would like some youth involvement as well. Then another thing that's coming up, September is a very busy month, apparently, for the community development folks. Missouri Good Neighbor Week is September 28th through October 4th. If anyone wants to get involved in that, you can go to MissouriGoodNeighborWeek.com for ideas and other content. It's a good opportunity for anybody who wants to apply for the new category of neighborhood activity for Missouri Community Betterment Awards for next year. One of the lead up events, kind of an energizer event that's coming up for that is September 13th from 6 to 7. There's going to be an art activity through one of the Good Neighbor Week associates, which is the Hopeful Neighborhood. And the link for that is there. It's going to be a Love Your Neighborhood workshop. And any household who registers is going to get 10 colorable postcards and a pack of colored pencils, and you can log in from 6 to 7, and people will be able to meet together and talk about neighborhood activities that they want to do, and they can send those postcards to their neighbors to invite them to a neighborhood program that they want to do during Good Neighbor Week, or invite them to be involved in doing some of those acts of kindness and neighborly activities during that season of the year. Then I think the last thing, actually, I'm going to let Sarah talk about, because my file didn't save with her flyer, but she's going to talk about another program. I will stop sharing so that Sarah can get into that.
Okay, are you guys seeing the Building Healthy Communities? Okay, good. We've got all the screens happening, but thanks, Elizabeth. Those are great programs if you guys are interested to learn more or be part of those. And like she mentioned, for neighborhood leadership, we have local cohorts around the state. So I'm hosting one that's the Merrimack region, which is Dent, Phelps, Crawford, possibly Texas County, maybe Pulaski and Washington. So we're going to kind of, depending on who registers, we'll have a more localized cohort so we can try to meet once or twice and get to know each other. So the other program I want to mention is the Building Healthy Communities ECHO, which these ECHO programs are run through the Missouri Telehealth Network, and it stands for Extension for Community Healthcare Outcomes. And these are basically engaged webinars where everybody can participate, and it's a chance to get to connect with people that are working, I'd say like quote expert team, but it's folks that have a lot of experience or doing a lot of work in a particular topic. And then so they have a knowledge burst for about 15 minutes where we talk about a key topic or new research in the field. And then we also do, sorry, I can hear all the noise in the background, it got loud all of a sudden. Lots of time for discussion and conversation. We ask participants in the communities that participate to submit cases, and that can be any kind of example of work that you're doing in the community that you're having some good success for that you want to share the success with, or you are challenged that you're having and you want to learn from others on the call about how they've dealt with that challenge or ideas they might have. So our Building Healthy Communities one is helping our communities that want to do community-wide health efforts. A lot of times we have groups in our communities that are working on a particular topic or issue, but there's a lot of interest from our communities to address broader community health. And so we're talking about we've started in April, and we're starting with topics about what are the social determinants of health, what is health equity, and how do we make sure that everyone has equal opportunity to be as healthy as possible in our communities. This past month, we did a session on thinking about collaboration and building a coalition. It's not easy, right? It takes a lot of work to work in community and to have that collaboration. And so we were thinking about steps and ideas about how we can help to build relationships. Again, like thinking about what Elizabeth said about belonging that leads to collective leadership and community vitality. Having these conversations and building trust in our communities helps us then be able to do more work collectively. So I'm happy to share this flyer around. We meet monthly for this particular ECHO on the second Wednesday of each month at 10 o'clock, and it's just an hour, and you can join and listen in and then contribute, what's happening in your community, what you're working on, and resources or ideas that you're hoping to get for your community. If you're interested in this ECHO format, there are, I think, like over 50 different ECHOs that you can join. Most of them are generally sort of clinical training things, but there are some for community health workers, There's ones for school nurses or people in communities that are working with autism, the autism population. So lots of really interesting resources for our communities and thinking about health. So thank you. If you have questions for that, I'm happy to answer.
All right, I'm dropping links in the chat for NLA registration, for creating entrepreneurial communities registration. And then I'll also put that Show Me Echo website down here too. Does anybody have any other questions about any of these programs or any other thing that you feel like would be something you'd like to see from community development folks at Extension?
Elizabeth, can you go over the early bird cost in the final registration for NLA and then also the registration for the CEC?
Yeah. Sorry.
You're fine.
I want to make sure I got them all. ShowMeEcho.org. Okay. So is that right, Sarah? Okay. Okay, so the early bird registration for NLA, that period ends on August 22nd, and the cost for that is $290. The regular registration after that, for about another week and a half after that, it ends on September 2nd, and that's $325. For creating entrepreneurial communities, the registration cost is $125 for that 2-day conference, and for youth it's $75.
All right, thank you.
There's no cost for the Echo, so those are free to join.
Same
Okay.
with the art, yeah, same with the art project activity. The postcards and colored pencils and all that stuff is free, and participating in Good Neighbor Week is also free.
Okay. All right, does anybody have any questions? Elizabeth, I did want to ask you on the Good Neighbor Week, is that the one that the gentleman in Springfield had started? Okay.
Yes, David Burton. He's
Yeah.
one of our coworkers, one of our colleagues down in Greene County. And David has really been developing this over the past few years, and to the point where last year he actually was recognized nationally for his efforts. I think he won 4 different national awards at the Neighborhoods USA conference for his work. And then he's also partnered with other organizations down in Springfield and that Hopeful Neighborhood organization, to the point where he even was able to get Governor Parsons to sign off on a resolution that recognizes Missouri Good Neighbor Week as that September 28th through October 4th. So
Awesome.
yeah. So it's a lot of really interesting stuff. It's another one of those things where it's very, I'm trying to think of the word. It's very adaptable to whatever your neighborhood is like. There are some neighborhoods who do art together, lawn art and art installations. There are some neighborhoods who do ice cream socials. There are some neighborhoods who just do some acts of kindness. There have been florists who give out free flowers to people on Good Neighbor Day. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just all about getting people to, know the people around them and build relationships in a positive way.
Sounds like a great opportunity for our communities. If a community wants to participate in that Good Neighbor Week, what do they need to do? Do they need to reach out to David or just?
Yeah, I would suggest starting with going to this website, MissouriGoodNeighborWeek.com, and I'll put that in the chat as well. And there are lots of different ideas there. And I believe on that website, you can also get more of David's information and sign up for his Neighboring 101 newsletters that you can get from him, and the different Zoom classes that he has, where he invites people from all over the country that are doing different community building activities. And then once you plan and execute your neighboring activity, you can then register them at MissouriGoodNeighborWeek.com. And statewide, people are going to be entered into, I believe, drawings, or I don't know the criteria, if it's just a drawing or if they're judging, but the activities that they're doing, folks can win prizes for the neighborhood activities that they're doing. And then if you are in a MCB member community and you've done a project that you feel fits that criteria of building up the community vitality through interpersonal efforts or beautification or things like that, you can apply to be considered for a neighborly award through MCB. And the recognition of that this year is also paired with the board covering the cost for that project to be submitted to Neighborhoods USA for their neighborhood project or neighborhood of the year awards at their national conference in 2023.
Okay. And so then they just need to follow through with that and then contact us if they're wanting to submit.
Yeah, right now, I believe in the newsletters, we've had the information about the different categories and deadlines, but I don't believe we've released the forms yet, but we will.
Okay. And we'll get that sent out then. All right, thank you. Sarah, do you have any other information or anything you want to add?
No, I think it's a lot of exciting ways to get our communities involved in, doing some new projects. It's been a hard couple of years with COVID. And so, these are some really easy steps, ways to get back out and meeting people, getting people engaged again and volunteering. So we did a kind of pre-Good Neighbor Week event in March here in Salem. And we had our community betterment group sponsored, along with our extension office, $200 worth of gift cards that we gave to anybody in our county that submitted a random act, or an act of kindness during the week of March that we did. I think it was Random Act of Kindness Week. And so we sort of tested it out. And we had so many participate. It was fantastic. And so, it was just really positive. It didn't have to be very complicated. People made baked goods for their neighbors, or they, just helped out a friend. There was all kinds of different. The library even partnered with us and hosted or had a big display of books about kindness and being friendly. So it's a really great. There's so many ways you can participate, and it doesn't take a lot of work. So just some neat opportunities.
Sounds great. Sounds like some good community projects that could also then be used to submit for MCB projects for next year. So, all right. Does anybody else have any other questions before we wrap it up?
The only thing I would add is just that to share out any of this information with the folks in your community, even if you yourself think, I don't really have 10 weeks to dedicate to NLA, you might know somebody who would really benefit from that, an emerging leader. And one of the best ways to engage folks coming up in your community who are going to be the future leaders is to invest in them and show them, like, I think that you would be a good asset to our community, and here's how you make that happen.
Yeah, some of those programs are quite a commitment, but they're worth it in the end. So, well, if nobody else has any other questions, we'll go ahead and wrap up then. I want to thank Elizabeth and Sarah for joining us today and presenting this information. We will get these links shared out into our newsletter, so then you can access that information. I do want to let you know our next Lunch and Learn will be on September 21st at noon, and we will be joined by Stacy Helfrey and Andrew McCrae of Northwest Missouri Community Foundation, and they will talk with us about their Scholar Link program that they have. So that should be a great informational program for anybody that's wanting to look into more about their endowments and scholarships in their community. So that will be a good presentation. And then we'll we're hoping to get the rest of them booked for the rest of the year. We'll have more information coming on those soon in the newsletter, so do watch for those. If nobody else has anything, then we'll go ahead and wrap up, and I want to thank you all for joining us, and you guys have a great day. Bye, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.